In this study, we looked at what we call status quo, which is no change to emissions. We looked at moderate and we looked at high situations, high reduction situations where we would see significant impact in emissions. So what we see in a nutshell is the city would be warmer, wetter, and wilder. And what that means is we have an increase in temperature. We see changes in precipitation, a little bit wetter, and we see wilder. And what that means are there's a much higher likelihood of extreme weather events. We've heard more discussion around increase in 1 in 10-year floods and 1 in 100-year floods. So what we anticipate with the status quo continuing, and this study does reach all the way to 2100, we would anticipate that these events, especially extreme weather, would be much more likely than even it is right now. What we saw from a civic operations perspective is we started to anticipate a significant impact on our infrastructure, especially infrastructure that related to stormwater, drinking water, and also our electrical utilities. We could see significant impacts on people who have to work outside. So those just people who are outside, as well as plants and animals that are potentially outside. We also see an increased risk in pests that need to be then controlled, and similar things that we've seen in the city around this time, but an increase in pests and things like that. This study also then starts to influence how we bring back further information on climate change and possible mitigation things that we might see, so how to reduce impacts. We'll be bringing a report forward to Council in June that starts to package together options for how climate change emissions might be addressed. And then it also brings together information around community readiness, around possible costs, and around the likelihood of it being successful. How does it meet our targets, etc. So those options will be brought forward to Council for Council to further consider how they'd like to go forward. And then we'd also like to bring forward and better explain how data and measurement might be carried out in order to keep a close eye on this information coming forward. So we'll be bringing forward more information on climate change mitigation, so keeping the carbon impacts low, but we'll also be bringing forward in the future more information on what we call adaptation. So what do we need to do to the city to make it more resilient should further impacts of climate change continue to grow.